Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Alphonso Speaks. Before we get started, just want to thank our sponsor, Kenichi Bear Hibernation 5C headphones, the ones I got on my head right now. If you want the same comfortability, the same volume, the same quality you would get with Bose, JBL, Sony's, Beats, everything like that, but you want to get it at a fraction of that price, take a look at Kenichi Bear Headphones. Perfect for anybody in the family. The holidays are coming up. Make sure you get your pair. Use promo code Alphonso, all caps, promo code Alphonso. Save yourself 15% off your purchase, just like Geico, right? We don't like them here. They've been raising rates, haven't they? I don't like it. So I'm going to have to take them to court. Look, we've been doing a lot of Darrell Brooks content so far, and it's time to start switching things up just a little bit and seeing how these videos do. So we're going to take a look at the Bradley Yohn case right now. If you don't know, Bradley Yohn is the man responsible for sexually assaulting and raping, yes, two different things, sexually assaulting first and then raping a 77-year-old woman. Yes, an absolute psychopath. And similar to Darrell Brooks, he decided he was going to represent himself, and apparently he had some of the most bizarre opening statement remarks ever made in open court. And we're going to take a look at it. This is me taking a look at this for the very first time. This is going to be my raw reaction to this. I've never seen this in its entirety before. I've only seen like small clips of it. And the only thing I know about this is we got to pay attention to the prosecutor's face the whole time. So the bald guy that you see to the right of your screen, we got to pay attention to him the whole time, because apparently he makes the same faces that all of us are probably going to be making throughout this. So without further ado, let's take a look at Bradley Yohn's opening statements, and let's see how he did.
Mr. Yohn, care to make any opening statements?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what you just heard were theatrics. Theatrics, something one puts forth in order to obtain and persuade you to obtain a conviction in a trial. I will concede that some things Ms. Keck here stated do in fact ring true. However, they're not as she stated them. There are many discrepancies in this case that have yet to be finalized. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today this is going to be very hard for all of us. We have people here in the stands. It's going to be extremely hard for them. It's going to be extremely hard for you. It's extremely hard for myself. I'm the one here on these claims. However, these claims are not quite true, and I will show you that today. I apologize for having you awesome people here today. Yes, it's a duty of citizenship to have to serve on a jury every so often. There's not many smiles today. However, I did see some yesterday. I appreciate them smiles. That has brought a light to my soul.
Smiles? Okay. So he's talking about smiles bringing a light to his soul. You know, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. I don't have anything extensive to say about that yet, but I can kind of see he's taking like a Baptist preacher type of approach, and it's already bothering me.
As I've been stuck here in this county jail, tormented for the last 19 months, I ask that you forgive my appearance. This is not normally me. I normally have hair. I did not expect you to feel sorry for me by any means. I also understand you'd much rather be enjoying your summer at home rather than being in this courtroom. However, the powers that compel have brought you here today. I once heard that trials are based on persuasion. Who has the best persuasion in their words? Who can be persuaded by the persuadee? Words like persuasion.
Hey, look at the bottom left, y'all. He's getting irritated already. He's like just we gotta watch him the whole time.
I believe they're negative myself. They're kind of like manipulation, very negative. It's negative in my insight to persuade somebody, especially when you want to persuade somebody as to the charges here today and not have the proof needed to present those theatrics and not have the proof needed to present those theatrics, to persuade one's life away. As Miss Keck stated, the sickening in herself, if they were to truly happen, they're sick, they're demented, they're horrendous, horrid.
By the way, that freezing that keeps happening, that's literally the video. That's not you guys or anything that's going on with your computers. Just so you guys know, don't freak out. It's literally the video.
Persuasion, I see that in the same sense as to persuade something that is not true is also sick. These are demented crimes. Ladies and gents, I'm more in agreement with the word logical. To be logical seems to be more so valuable than to persuade some. Also, the meaning of logical, to expect because of what has gone before, what has happened in prior arrangements, prior times. Based on or using logic, the definition of logic, correct reasoning, or the science of it. What is expected by the working of cause and effect. The working of cause and effect. Today and throughout this trial, you'll see that the cause does not hold the effect it should. The alleged cause does not hold the effect it should. I'm sure a lot of you are logical human beings. I myself base my life on being logical, being honest, being valued.
So, okay, he's already starting off lying to the jury because we know what ended up happening in this case. And he's saying that he bases his life on being logical and being truthful. Well, you're already starting to lie. So, you got to be careful with your opening statements, right? Because the jury is taking note of what you're saying in your opening statements. And when you're saying something like this in your opening statements, and then as we go along the trial, evidence starts pouring in that you're lying to us, the jury, now all of a sudden we're leaning towards the prosecution all the way. Which they should in this case because he was 100% guilty. But the thing is, whether you like the American court system or not, it does give everybody an opportunity to adequately defend themselves. And if you can persuade the jury to have reasonable doubt as to whether or not you are the guilty party, you can walk free. But when you trap yourself like this and you say things like, I live my life based on truth, logic, and then it comes out that you were lying the entire time, and on top of that, your opening statement doesn't sound logical at all because it sounds like a bunch of mumbled up words that I'm having trouble in this present moment right now keeping track of. The jury is not going to lean your way. They're going to lead the way of the prosecution. He's setting himself up for failure already.
To logic and honesty. It's my favorite pastime, present and future. Today I ask that those of you here be logical, not just the jurors who have the ability to judge this situation, but everybody. Logical as I would rather people be. Today I will show you a lot of things that are not logical. Throughout this trial, I will show you a lot of things that are not logical. Persuasion is not logical. I myself, personally, I promise not to attempt to persuade you.
Sorry, I gotta rewind that. I have no idea what he just said.
Not logical. I myself, personally, I promise not to attempt to persuade you.
What did he just say? Okay, if anybody can translate what he just said, I really can't understand that sentence right there of what he just said. I'm gonna try one more time, guys. I promise, only one more time. But I'm not understanding what he's saying.
Persuasion is not logical. I myself, personally, I promise not to attempt to persuade you.
What? Okay, one thing y'all gonna learn about me real fast. I am grammar police. I'm one of those people. People don't really like people like me because they can't make a typo. They can't make a grammatical error around me because I'm gonna catch it every time. I don't understand what he's saying. I feel like he tripped over his words. That's what happens when you're lying.
nor will I manipulate you. I do not find pleasure in doing such. As stated yesterday, I'm a pro se defendant. I'm held to the same standards as any attorney here today. I do not expect you to feel sorry for me because I'm a pro se defendant. I expect you to take it at what you valued it as, along with agreeing with the law, taking the law into consideration. They say an opening statement is made to acquaint the finder of facts with yourself or with the claims and what you intend to prove. That's exactly what I do today. Myself, I would say proof is a rare thing to come by these days. No one has absolute proof except for, per se, you have these cameras here in this room today, and I can prove that you are here today. There's a lot of claims placed forth that do not have an effect that coincides with them. I intend to show and prove you that today and throughout this trial. What I also want to prove you are blatant lies. Incredible and impossible happenings. We all know what incredible and impossible means. Impossible means not possible. Credible means it's not credible.
Does that what? Maybe I'm tripping, but I'm pretty sure that's not the correct word for something that's not credible. Because incredible means, well, maybe he's right. But you know what, comment section, y'all got my back. Let me know. Am I tripping or is he tripping? I feel like he's tripping. But if I'm tripping, y'all let me know. Because I told you guys, I'm here to learn too. So let me know.
I also intend to prove you improper procedure. Coincidences. Throughout this trial, you'll see some of the most major coincidences you have ever seen in your lives. And they're established, and I'm sure some of the witnesses will attest to them. There are major coincidences in this case. As stated, I talked about logical. I intend to show you that these things do not follow the definition of logic. I will show you what coercion, manipulation, and deceit is. I will show certain persons think it is absolutely funny to be vindictive, to lie, to place forth claims, and that would be from the horse's mouth. I will prove to you reason for false testimony from some who may or may not testify throughout this adventure. I'll show you how other law enforcement think these events that are alleged to have happened are quite odd themselves, stating such in an indirect way. That is law enforcement, and I intend to prove that to you.
Okay, so I gotta give Bradley Yohn a little bit of credit here. Only because I'm comparing him to Darrell Brooks. Bradley Yohn seems like he actually maybe has a strategy in mind of how he's going to, convince the jury to have reasonable doubt of his, of the verdict. When Darrell Brooks was approaching, it's like he couldn't even keep his facts straight. And on one hand, he's asking witnesses, oh, how do you know it was me? And then on the other hand, he's saying, it was me, but it wasn't intentional. You gotta pick one and run with it when you're defending yourself. If I was Darrell Brooks, the only thing I would have been trying to prove is that it wasn't intentional. That's the only that would have been my only aim, is intent. You cannot prove my intent. You cannot prove what I was trying to do. You can't prove that I was trying to mow people down, whatever the case may be. Which they could, because there were witnesses that were like, yeah, he was looking out the window, laughing, smiling, all types of stuff. He hit the brakes and sped up again, which means he knew what he was doing. But hey, that would have been my aim if I was in Darrell Brooks' shoes. I have to pick an angle and go with it. Darrell Brooks didn't do that. He just simply was like, he was again, he's a walking contradiction. He was contradicting himself the entire time, from start to finish. Seems like we'll see, you know, as we continue to watch this trial of Bradley Yohn, we'll see how he presents his evidence and how he questions the witnesses, and see if he stays consistent with his aim, with his mission of, you know, proving or establishing reasonable doubt. But it seems like he actually had some type of aim, some type of strategy going into the trial.
Any of the claims and things placed forth by all here today, witnesses and the claimant herself, just do not add up or coincide with each other. The prosecution intends to prove to those of you that a 77-year-old woman has been brutally beat, battered, sexually assaulted is the proper pronunciation or the proper term usage in trials. They intend to prove to you that a 77-year-old woman was home invaded, kidnapped, hijacked, thrown downstairs at 77 years old. Thrown downstairs. Some of you are young. If you were thrown downstairs, what would that damage do to you? Thrown downstairs in a violent manner. The prosecution intends to prove to you that a 77-year-old woman was thrown downstairs in a violent manner. All these claims are violent. They're sick. They're demented. All of these being brutal, violent, heinous. Those are the titles of alleged claims the judge has placed forth, as Ms. Keck has also stated, what I've just relayed to, and more. Some of these descriptions you will hear throughout this trial. I aim to present to you, those of you here today, and I aim to present to those of you from the mouth who spoke them, these claims, and that they are not true. What's better than the person who spoke them? Attorney here, Mr. Jones and Ms. Keck, I believe they both have great intentions. I'm sure they do. However, they're here to attest to something they do not know themselves. They do not have full and 100% proof of. They're just doing their jobs. I don't expect you to hold it against them. I only expect you to be fair. I spoke of, at the beginning, this being very hard for me. Obviously it is. I'm the defendant here today. It's my life in jeopardy. It's my life on the line. Not only is it hard for me, I spoke of it being hard for, well, everybody here. I'm sure those of you in the jury today do not want to hear the sickening claims or have to go through this. All we can do is take what we have and place weight on it from our own views. Mainly you people here today, you jurors. Today you will be presented what some call evidence. Some of these presentations are very odd and would lead you to say, guilty, he's guilty. These are what I spoke of when I said I'd show you coincidences. Those coincidences are by far some of the biggest coincidences one will ever see.
That word is kicking his tail. That word is kicking his tail. This man cannot say coincidences to save his life. That's crazy.
What I spoke of when I said I'd show you coincidences. Those coincidences are by far some of the biggest coincidences one will ever see in a lifetime. Most never seeing such. Never having the chance to. Why? Because there are coincidences that are extremely rare. There are things that just don't happen. A believer of coincidences is what I intend to make you throughout this trial. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, devious crimes, they are what I myself would call the worst, the very worst. I think they're worse than murder. That's my point of view. As if they were true also. I do not mean to offend anyone here today. However, they simply are not true. My little brother used to run to mother and say, "Mom, BB hit me." BB was my sister. He used to say, "BB hit me." Mom would say, "Well, my lovely young man, where are the marks to prove such?" Well, Mom, show me the marks. He could not show any marks. Mother would say, "I can't tell where the marks are." True story. Come to find out, my brother only had the remote taken from him. Scooby-Doo was his favorite. He would watch it end on end for hours.
Look at bro's face, man. Look at bro's face. Look at the prosecutor's face. Look at this. When he starts talking about Scooby-Doo. Why are you bringing up... I'm going to let him finish his thought so I can maybe there's an ends to a mean here. But look at... Look at the prosecutor's face. Look at him.
Remote taken from him. Scooby-Doo was his favorite. He would watch it end on end for hours. During them times when my brother would make them claims, we would all come to find out in the end that he had just simply walked away from the TV. Sis picked up the remote and he wanted the TV back. The tales he was telling, you will see that today, here, and throughout this trial, there are major tales told. Tales that are tall. Simply very tall tales. Then, in reference to my brother, the lack of marks gave my mother reasonable doubt. Today, I intend to prove an extreme amount of reasonable doubt.
Okay, so I can see why he told that story. It connects, but like, he could have told it a lot better than that. You know, effective storytelling is really important, and that wasn't effective storytelling. I don't know what kind of notes he has. I tutor people in public speaking, and I tell them this all the time. Don't really write your script word for word. If you guys are ever public speaking, never write a script word for word unless you are speaking and making a public statement. Like maybe you're a police chief or something, and you have to read directly from a public statement. Yes, write it word for word. Or if you're speaking at a funeral and it's really emotional and you're going to lose, the words or whatever. Or you're speaking at a wedding, something like that, where emotions are high, passion is high, and you don't want to forget anything that you wanted to mention. Yes, go ahead and write down word for word what you want to say. But when you're doing something like this, bullet points. Bullet points, bullet points, bullet points. Always use bullet points. And put bullet points under those bullet points, okay? I don't know what his notes look like, but it really sounded like he struggled through that story. He didn't tell it as effectively as he wanted to. He should have really put more animation into what he was saying. For example, mother would say, "Show me the scars." And my sister, she couldn't show the scars. Or my brother, he couldn't show the scars. She would say, "Show me the scars, BB." He couldn't show the scars. Come to find out, he just wanted the remote back because my sister had stolen it because he had walked away from the television. My mother, just like all of you today, always wanted to prove the crime that was done. Because if there's reasonable doubt, she could not convict my sister. I don't know, something like that. I mean, come on, dude. Be better.
Throughout this trial, it will prove extreme amount of reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt, they say, is any idea or condition that interferes with a person.
Grounds.
All right. The jury is left to find reasonable doubt on their own.
Sustained.
Jury, throughout this week, there will be all kinds of words placed forth. Strong words, educated words. Words some of us may not understand. There will be displays. There will be what many call evidence, and there will be testimonies. I will show you, and if you may, prove to you how things are not as they say. not as they seem, how most just are not possible, also known as impossible. As I stated earlier, I intend to be logical. I will do just that. I humbly ask that you bear with me throughout this process, bear with all of us, those of the court, those of the prosecution, and everybody. Recesses, intermissions, just please bear with us and be honest, as I'm sure you all can be, and be fair. Thank you.
Okay, so those were the opening statements of Bradley Yohn. I want to know what you guys thought of those. Obviously, we all know that at the end of this trial, he was convicted on the counts that he was accused of and sentenced to prison. But I just want to know, compared to Darrell Brooks, that was excellent. Really, that was excellent compared to Darrell Brooks. Darrell Brooks had poor grammar and he didn't have anything really to say. Darrell Brooks started talking about his family and how sad he's been sitting in prison, what he's been doing in his cell and all this type of stuff. Bradley Yohn, I would say, got straight to the point. I mean, hey, 15 minutes, just about 15 minutes of a opening statement. Not too shabby, but yeah, shouldn't have been in the position to have to make an opening statement anyway, right? Just saying. If you guys haven't done so already, go ahead and give me a follow on my Instagram account, Alphonso McCree Jr., right here below. And I will see you guys in the next episode. You guys know what to do. Stay safe, stay blessed. PLP, peace, love, and positivity always. Spread it, spread it, spread it. Peace.